Now to the trial for an 18-year-old charged with murdering his 17-year-old girlfriend. That trial began today with emotional testimony. IKEA Hood was a junior on the Tigerette drill team at Lancaster High. She'd just given birth just 3 weeks before her death. And as one expert tells Keenan Willard, her mother's testimony today could be key in court.
And today, multiple family members of IKEA Hood took the stand here, breaking down as they described what they found at the scene moments after her death. Today, some experts tell us that emotional testimony could play a big role in this trial.
In front of a Dallas judge today, Takoya Lester described the moment she found her daughter dead in her bedroom.
This hurt. I climbed in the window and I touched the baby and I grabbed her hair. I couldn't see all of that.
On January 7th last year, police say 17-year-old IKEA Hood was shot and killed in her family's home on Grambling Drive. Hood was shot feet away from her 3-week-old baby girl, her first child. Family says Hood was a junior at Lancaster High School and a member of the Tigerette drill team. U.S. Marshals arrested Trayvon Wright, who was also 17 at the time. The family says Wright and Hood had been dating, but broke things off after Hood discovered Wright wasn't the father of her baby. In an arrest affidavit, Lester says Wright was at her home visiting Hood and the baby when a gunshot sounded from Hood's bedroom. Lester says the door was locked, so she went outside and climbed halfway through the window, finding Wright gone and her daughter unmoving.
I rolled her over. I rolled her over. She was laying on her side. I rolled her over.
Wright was charged with first-degree murder. In defending him today, Wright's attorney argued that no one saw his client pull the trigger.
You're trying to figure it out because you were not in the room when the gun discharged, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
NBC5 spoke with a trial expert not involved in the case who tells us the emotional testimony from Hood's family could significantly impact jurors.
I can tell you that when a particularly sympathetic victim or family member of a victim testifies, it can sway jurors to go in a direction they might otherwise not go in. That absolutely is the case.
For the victim's family, a difficult process of wading through one of the worst days of their lives.
On the night of February 8, 2019, a tragedy struck that would forever change the lives of those involved. A 17-year-old mother, full of hopes and dreams, was murdered by the person she once loved, the father of her child, just a few days after the birth of her baby. But what drove him to this shocking act of violence? Why would you want to hurt the woman you loved so much? The woman who carried your baby for 9 months. It all started with a lie, a paternity test that shattered a family, igniting a rage that no one could have anticipated. This is the story of IKEA Hood, a young woman whose life was cut short in her prime. Just when she thought she would start enjoying the joys of motherhood with her bundle of joy, her life was snatched away from her. IKEA Hood had always envisioned herself as a devoted mother, nurturing her newborn daughter with love and care. The joy of motherhood was a dream realized, a dream she cherished deeply. But no one would believe that her own child's father would shatter her world and end her life in a moment of unimaginable violence. The revelation came like a thunderclap, tearing through the fabric of her reality. A paternity test, a simple medical procedure, had unveiled a truth she had long suspected but hoped was false. The man she had loved, the man she had trusted, was not the father of her child. The betrayal was profound, a wound that cut deeper than any physical injury. In the days that followed, the weight of this discovery bore down on IKEA. Her thoughts were a whirlwind of confusion, anger, and sorrow. She grappled with the implications of this truth, the impact it would have on her relationship with the man she had once called her partner, and the future of her precious daughter. The man at the center of this turmoil was Trayvon Wright, a 17-year-old who had been in an on-again, off-again relationship with IKEA. Their bond had been complex, filled with moments of affection and tension. The revelation of the paternity test results had sent shockwaves through their already fragile relationship, igniting a firestorm of emotions that neither could control. Friends and family observed the change in IKEA. She was no longer the vibrant, hopeful young woman they had known. The joy she once exuded was replaced by a somber demeanor, her eyes reflecting the turmoil within. She confided in those closest to her, sharing her heartbreak and the sense of betrayal that consumed her. Trayvon, too, was affected by the revelation. His initial reaction was one of disbelief, followed by anger. He felt deceived, his trust shattered. The foundation of his relationship with IKEA had been built on a lie, and the discovery of the truth left him grappling with feelings of betrayal and resentment. Because he stood by her during the ordeals of pregnancy. Do you think, after all these hurdles, that he was justified with his actions? As the days passed, the tension between IKEA and Trayvon escalated. Their interactions were charged with unspoken words, lingering glances, and the weight of unaddressed emotions. The air between them was thick with the unsaid, each moment fraught with the potential for confrontation. On the morning of January 7, 2024, the situation reached its tragic climax. Trayvon arrived at IKEA's family home, ostensibly to visit their 3-week-old daughter. The atmosphere was heavy, the silence between them deafening. They retreated to IKEA's bedroom, where a conversation ensued, a conversation that would end in violence. IKEA's mother, Takoya Lester, was in the house at the time. She heard a loud noise from her daughter's bedroom and went to investigate. The door was locked, and when she peered through the window, she saw Trayvon leaving the room. Concerned, she entered to find her daughter lying unresponsive, a gunshot wound evident. The discovery was harrowing. Takoya attempted to revive her daughter, but it was too late. The life of a young mother, full of promise and potential, had been extinguished in an instant.
I climbed in the window and I touched the baby and I grabbed her hair. I couldn't see all of that. I rolled her over. She was laying on her side. I rolled her over.
The family was left to grapple with the senseless loss, the unanswered questions, and the overwhelming grief. Trayvon fled the scene, but his actions did not go unnoticed. The community rallied, and law enforcement agencies worked tirelessly to bring him to justice. His arrest was a somber moment, a reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of betrayal and violence. The impact of IKEA's death rippled through the community. Friends, family, and classmates were left to mourn the loss of a young woman with a bright future, a woman who had been taken too soon. Her daughter, Icelyn, would grow up without the mother who had dreamed of a life filled with love and happiness for her. As the investigation unfolded, the details of that fateful morning emerged. The paternity test, the discovery of the truth, and the subsequent events painted a picture of a relationship fraught with complexities and emotions. The tragedy served as a stark reminder of the destructive power of secrets and the devastating impact of violence. In the end, the story of IKEA Hood is one of love, betrayal, and loss. It is a story that underscores the importance of trust, communication, and the profound effects that our actions can have on the lives of others. It is a story that will not be forgotten, a story that serves as a cautionary tale about the depths of human emotion and the consequences of our choices. Friends and family noticed the change. Trayvon, who had once been the life of the party, now kept to himself, his eyes distant, his mind seemingly elsewhere. He was no longer the young man they had known. He was a person transformed by betrayal and the desire for retribution. The arguments between Trayvon and IKEA Hood became more frequent and more intense. What had once been a relationship built on love and trust was now a battleground, each confrontation leaving scars that would never heal. The love they had shared was now a distant memory, replaced by resentment and anger. In the aftermath of the tragic event, the truth did not remain concealed for long. The Dallas Police Department swiftly initiated an investigation determined to uncover the circumstances surrounding the death of 17-year-old IKEA Hood. As they delved deeper into the case, they uncovered a complex web of lies, secrets, and deceptions that no one could have anticipated. The investigation began with the collection of physical evidence from the crime scene. Investigators meticulously examined the bedroom where the incident occurred, searching for any clues that could shed light on the events leading up to the fatal shooting. They collected forensic evidence, including fingerprints, DNA samples, and ballistic information, all of which would play a crucial role in reconstructing the sequence of events. Interviews with family members and friends of both the victim and the suspect, Trayvon Wright, provided valuable insights into the dynamics of their relationship. It was revealed that Wright and Hood had been in an on-again, off-again relationship for approximately 2 years. This information was pivotal, as it suggested a history of interpersonal complexities that could have contributed to the tragic outcome. Further investigation revealed that Hood had recently discovered that her newborn daughter was not fathered by Wright. She had planned to inform him of this revelation on the day of her death. This discovery added a layer of emotional turmoil to the already strained relationship, potentially serving as a catalyst for the tragic event. The forensic evidence collected at the scene, combined with witness statements and the established history between the individuals involved, painted a clear picture of the events leading up to the shooting. The evidence indicated that the shooting was not a random act of violence, but rather a targeted incident stemming from personal grievances and emotional distress. As the investigation progressed, law enforcement officials pieced together the timeline of events. They established that on the morning of January 7, 2024, Trayvon Wright arrived at Hood's family home. The two retreated to her bedroom, where a confrontation ensued. The details of this confrontation remain unclear, but it culminated in Wright fatally shooting Hood. Following the incident, Wright fled the scene, leaving behind a grieving family and a community in shock. The Dallas Police Department, in collaboration with the U.S. Marshals, launched a manhunt to locate and apprehend Wright. Their efforts culminated in his arrest, bringing a sense of relief to those affected by the tragedy. The arrest of Trayvon Wright marked a significant development in the case. He was charged with first-degree murder, and the legal proceedings began. The community awaited the trial, hoping for justice for IKEA Hood and her family. As the trial commenced, the prosecution presented the evidence gathered during the investigation, including forensic reports, witness testimonies, and the established history between the victim and the defendant. The defense, on the other hand, challenged the evidence, questioning the reliability of certain witness statements and the interpretation of forensic data. The courtroom was filled with emotion as family members of both the victim and the defendant attended the proceedings. The trial served as a stark reminder of the complexities of human relationships and the devastating consequences that can arise from unresolved conflicts and emotional distress. As the trial progressed, the community remained hopeful that justice would prevail. The case garnered significant media attention, highlighting the broader issues of domestic violence, teenage relationships, and the impact of personal revelations on individuals' lives. In the end, the jury deliberated and returned a verdict. Trayvon Wright was found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison. The verdict provided a sense of closure to the case, but it did little to ease the pain of the loss felt by IKEA Hood's family and friends. The story of IKEA Hood serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the profound impact that personal relationships can have on individuals' destinies. It underscores the importance of communication, trust, and emotional well-being in fostering healthy relationships and preventing tragedies such as this. Throughout the trial, the courtroom was filled with emotion. Family members of both the victim and the defendant attended the proceedings, their faces reflecting the pain and complexity of the situation. The victim's family hoped for justice, while the defendant's family grappled with the reality of the charges against their loved one. As the trial drew to a close, the jury deliberated, weighing the evidence and testimonies presented. The tension was palpable as the community awaited the verdict, hoping for justice for IKEA Hood and her family. In the end, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on the charge of first-degree murder. Trayvon Wright was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The courtroom was filled with mixed emotions, relief for some, sorrow for others, as the gavel fell, marking the conclusion of a tragic chapter. But for the family, for the child who would grow up without a mother, the story didn't end with a verdict. It was just the beginning of a new, painful reality. In the pursuit of justice, we often overlook the enduring impact on those left behind, the families and communities who bear the weight of betrayal and loss. While Trayvon Wright was sentenced to life in prison, the true punishment lies in the lives shattered by his violent actions. This case serves as a stark reminder of how fragile trust can be and how a single lie can lead to irreversible destruction. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay updated with our latest true crime documentaries. Every like, share, and comment helps us bring more important stories to light. Join us as we explore these real-life cases, their impact, and the pursuit of justice.